My name is Herman Jenkins. That's Herman Jenkins. I was a tenant resident of East Garfield Park on the west side of Chicago. I was employed in the post office. I had a little trucking business. I worked midnights at the post office and I ran 4 trucks during the day. So I was a resident of East Garfield Park when the movement came to town. I had seen Martin Luther King in the March on Washington on television. I was very much impressed. In fact, I was so impressed that I went to the library and read a couple of books on Mahatma Gandhi and the concept of nonviolence, particularly nonviolent social change. It struck me, one, as a way to live. It contained a set of values that I thought provided a basis for a good life, a high quality life. I thought that it presented a set of alternatives to violent resolution of problems. I went to school and grew up in Detroit. I served 3 years in the military. I had seen plenty of violence, both domestic, racial. I'd seen more than my share. I had a knock on the door one day, and there was this little man named Bernard Lafayette standing at my door asking me various questions, creating a conversation about the neighborhood and inviting me to join him and efforts that he was initiating on the west side of Chicago. Bernard had organized the campaign to end lead poisoning in East Garfield Park. This was a campaign in which high school students were taught to test for lead poisoning. Local community people had been developed. I don't know how else to really say that. Their talents and resources had been developed. This was an issue that came out of the community, so it was directly spoke to their concerns. And I thought that experience was, for me, was a great success. We had meetings and more meetings. At some point, it's hard to say where these decisions or when precisely these decisions were arrived at, but housing became the issue, and ending slums became the issue. There were issues which, on their face, could not be resolved in any reasonable period of time. Chicago already had open housing laws on the books. Large sections of the black community, particularly the black middle class, were evidently quite satisfied with their own housing situation and didn't necessarily see that as an issue. We also had problems in that the demography of Chicago had ethnic communities, working class whites whom one might say objectively we should have been trying to build some sort of coalitions with, became, quote, the opposition. None of that staging was such that it would put us ultimately in a very good light. I've been impressed with large numbers of young people, much more mature and have much greater insight into the problems and potential solutions. So that's I don't think there's any shortage of leadership.